All right, so I told you we were going to do it, and I finally found some clips from the undercover footage of the uh, investigative journalist. I think her name's Arden Young. We did some videos about her on this channel here recently. You could actually check those out. Previous videos. I don't know offhand which numbers episodes they are, but definitely check out the past videos to see a little bit more about her story, which is very interesting. And yeah, let's jump into this undercover footage that she took exposing Pornhub and the true nature of that company. Obviously, just going into this, that, a pornography company is not going to be, a moral company. They're not going to be involved in things that are good. It's not just a normal business where, they may seek money, and a lot of businesses do. They may seek, fortune or whatever, like most companies, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. This company is different. Um, their business plan, their model, is built on perverting people, breaking people's spirits, getting them either to become obsessed with, lust, which is a sin, through, watching pornography on their website, or even worse, getting the people into the industry to create that content. And a lot of that is done through trafficking, which is illegal and a crime, and is completely immoral. But anytime your business plan involves you breaking the law, you don't have a company, you have a racket. That you're no different. These people in the porn industry are no different than the mafia, extorting people to get things out of them, or crooked politicians extorting people, or people lobbyists who maybe, bribe, people in the political sphere. All those people are involved in crimes. They're basically just criminals who found a way to skirt the law through their business practices. But one thing that I have learned in life, and my father taught me this, is that almost every criminal eventually gets caught one day. It's just a matter of time. Now, even though there's a statute of limitations on crimes, some crimes, not every crime, like we talked about in the past, murder doesn't have a statute of limitations, but other crimes, most crimes do. And it's usually like 7 to 10 years, depending on the crime. Um, Criminals are criminals. They will do other crimes, and if they don't get caught for one thing, they will get caught for another thing, right? That's how they got Al Capone, I think, was on tax fraud or tax, crimes somehow. And, they took him down because they couldn't take him down with the traditional way of breaking up his mafia organization from, getting them on racketeering and stuff like that, because they had a pretty airtight operation. So they were able to figure out a way to get him on tax fraud. Also, at that time, I don't think the RICO laws existed yet. That didn't come about until the 70s, I think, or maybe the 60s. But, at that time, they found another way to get him because criminals are criminals. They're going to break the law in every way that they possibly can. Well, same thing for people in these industries. They may have a website that is one of the top visited websites in the world, and they may make a lot of money, doing what they do, and they may get away with it for now. But as this stuff comes out, and maybe in the future, when politicians get involved politically at a higher level and they start implementing, investigations or bills getting passed through the House or whatever methods they take, I guarantee you these companies will see justice, because what they're, allegedly admitting to on this undercover camera or being accused of, um, are crimes. You're specifically targeting, children, underage people, and also, possibly allegedly involved in trafficking themselves, or at least complicit in it, in that they know it's going on and they're not, doing anything about it, to stop it or prevent it from getting its way into their company. So yeah, let's take a look at this undercover footage. But yeah, we finally have an opportunity to see what they have to say themselves. I always believe in hearing out everybody. I truly believe in the constitutional way of treating crime in this country. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty. So everybody, no matter what they're accused of, and even if the evidence is overwhelming, has a right to speak on their own behalf and basically defend themselves. Everybody has that right. It's one of our core American values. So I believe in hearing everybody out, but let's hear what the people from Pornhub actually have to say in this undercover footage about how their company operates.
I stick around because when we first made the site, there was like, when I got hired there was 6 people, and now we're like 300.
Do you think anything slips through the cracks?
Of course, 100%.
How?
I don't know, because it's stupid. Because at the end of the day, it's like, how are you gonna tell me like who's in that video if the girl's not showing her face? You're like trying to match boobs and birthmarks on their butts and stuff. That would be the loophole that I always like. I look at that and I'm like, that's stupid, but everybody is just kind of rolling with it.
Why do they just roll with it? Why don't they say something?
Oh, everybody, everyone. So you make a lot of money. So, for example, like I could sign up tomorrow. I submit my ID. I'm putting all my real identification, my bank account, and everything, and I just rip content from other people. Where it's like, this guy's like body and his look like it could be mine based on my face. I don't know, something like that, right? Like, okay, I'm tall and slim. Okay, this guy, okay, whatever, he looks kind of similar. I could just rip those videos, upload them as my own, and the people who review my video would probably be like, this is him. Video. Be like, it's close enough, and I'm gonna make thousands of dollars. I didn't do shit. It's just an easy way to make money.
What's like the worst that could happen with a loophole like that?
For who?
I mean,
Us?
do do rapists use it, or?
Of course.
What about like human traffickers or something? Like, could they use that loophole?
To do what?
One thing I find so interesting is every time I see these undercover videos, and we've seen a lot more of them lately over the last, 8 to 10 years, however long, especially, James O'Keefe has really blown up this industry of undercover investigative journalism. You see, so many of these videos now, and there's always these people who are just having lunch with somebody out in public, talking about these deep, dark secrets. And what often crosses my mind is, and maybe yours as well, how did this person just sit down and openly talk about this stuff? And it makes you wonder a couple different things. One is definitely, do they think what they're doing is wrong? Because if they didn't, why would they talk so openly about it in public, right? So, yes, they're talking to the person, the investigative journalist that has an undercover camera and is recording them, and obviously has, audio recording as well. And, you think, yeah, they're, confessing this to this person, but we don't always know all the details. So sometimes we see things from one side of the lens and we think we know what's happening. But, that person could have built up trust in their mind for weeks, months, years, however long, to the point where they felt comfortable talking about that with them. And people have the ability to, over time, break a person down, break their guard down, and, get them more comfortable with them to where they, maybe would open up to them. But a lot of these people are caught saying this stuff in public, usually in like a bar or a restaurant or something. And, if you've been out to those places and it's crowded, there's always people around. How could you be so comfortable talking about all of this stuff with strangers around? I get talking to the investigative journalist because maybe they made you feel comfortable for so long that now you trust them. But a lot of these things that they're talking about are either really bad, either morally or just, bad for a person's character. But a lot of the stuff is illegal. flat out illegal. So how could somebody who's committing a crime um, openly talk about it in public? It makes you think either they don't believe what they're doing is wrong because they have a, broken moral compass, or they don't know the laws and they just don't even think that that's a crime, or um, they actually like that thing that they're doing wrong. They thrive on their sin and they're almost, proud of it in a way where they're boasting, like a criminal who, might be like a thief and then maybe goes around bragging to people about how much he stole or what he stole from somebody, or somebody who's a murderer, might go around bragging, about how many people he's killed because he's proud of that thing, even though it's a crime. And probably subconsciously he knows that it's wrong. In that moment, he feels like he's on a pedestal because he is proud of his sin, proud of his crime. That's really where my mind goes. Is I wonder, are these people just, um, you know, uninformed or unintelligent, that they're so carelessly talking about these things in public, or are they proud of their crimes? Are they proud of what they do? Um, it's interesting, but it really does tell a lot about these people. Now, I'm not judging them because I understand everybody's situation is different, and sometimes you don't know why people go down certain paths, but then you find out, you know, they were kind of led down that path. It's like the kid who's the bully. You find out that his dad's beating him at home, so that's the only way he knows how to express himself in the world because that's what his parents and family showed him. Um, so you try not to judge that person because you don't know really where they've come from or what their life is like, and you haven't walked in their shoes. But it is interesting to see these people just not only commit these crimes, but so openly talk about it in public with other people around. Like anybody could hear them and tell an authority figure, and that person can get in trouble. But either they are ignorant or they just don't care. But it's interesting to see.
There's a
lot more where that came
a
from.
loophole where it's obvious that faces on IDs,
Yeah,
you can't match the body.
but that's not my. That this is more like that's a business decision of the VPO. Like the CPO knows, and as long as like we made a meeting where we're like, yo, like it's like kind of sketch, man, and he's just like, yeah, well, like that's what we're saying, like it's okay.
The VP's okay with
The CLO is not like to him. It's not. I guess it's not a concern. Like it's not something he's imposing on the CPO. We think it's retarded, so we've brought it up to the CPO. We brought it up to the CLO, and they're both telling us it's all good. And the CPO is especially telling us like, "Fuck off, it's all good. Like stop."
So they know the
like,
risk.
So there you have it. This person who's an employee, he's the technical product manager at MineGeek, was apparently the parent company of Pornhub. Um, he's basically admitting that his superiors, his bosses are, complicit in this because they're either not dealing with it or they are promoting it. And either way, they're guilty, right? Either guilty directly or guilty by association. But either way, it's wrong and they're guilty. Um, what I find interesting is somebody who gets into this industry, right, for work, right? You're a technical product manager, so he probably does, something to do with the tech end of things, and managing the product, which is the actual content that is put out. So he probably has some sort of background in either business or tech in some way, right? Could be computers, social media, whatever. It's interesting why a person would go and work for this website. There's like billions of websites out there, and there's a lot of big companies that have huge websites with a lot of traffic. They're well known. I mean, look at how many people wanted to work for Google in like the early 2000s into the 2010s, and I'm sure a lot of people still do today, but there was a peak point where a lot of people just wanted to work there because the culture seemed so cool, and they took their computer science skills and other things like that, and they went to go work for this company. there are tons of companies out there like that. Why do you choose a pornography website? What is it that you know, have to use your skill set here for versus so many other places? So um, it's interesting. I guess, people like this, they don't see this as being, wrong, or maybe they just want to be in that industry because they like that type of content. Um, but it's a very uncomfortable and unusual, a thing to work for a porn company, and then every day you have to constantly see, explicit content, possibly sitting right next to coworkers. That's very awkward and weird. And it just doesn't really make sense for anybody to desire to do that for a living. But again, not judging this person specifically because I don't know them and don't know their journey in life. But their bosses are apparently, based on what he's saying, complicit in this. And that's funny because, he almost sounds surprised by that for a moment. Like he didn't expect them to, go that far. Anytime you're doing something where you cross a line, there's no limit. There's no limit to the how far you can go, the depths that you will go, because every time you cross a line, you convince yourself that it's okay to do that, and you lead yourself down this path where you open up the opportunities for yourself to cross more lines in order to especially obtain the things that you want in life. So that's why it's always really good to have boundaries and be firm in that. I've spoken a little bit about boundaries in previous videos, especially a previous video with this woman, Arden Young, who tells her testimony, her story of how she went from where she was to her investigative journalism career. But boundaries is really important in life for everybody to have because when you don't set boundaries, you open up opportunities for you to go down all kinds of paths in life that maybe you never wanted to go down. And I get that people are curious sometimes, especially when you're young. So you will maybe, venture off down different paths because you're interested, you're curious about things about life that you don't have experience with, and you're trying to kind of learn as you go. Understood. But just the fact that this company is a pornography company, they've already crossed the line of, moral decency. They're in the business of selling lust and selling, premarital sex. They push content about affairs, people who are married, who are, allegedly in the content. They're married, like a wife is cheating with the pool boy or something on camera, and they sell you that story. Obviously, it's just two people who are quote unquote acting on screen, but they sell the audience that story. They're promoting affairs, they're promoting adultery, they're promoting all these bad things right out of the gates by what they do. So how could you think that they would draw a line in the sand and say, you know what, this is enough sin. We're not going to go past this line of sin. It's an open floodgate. It just keeps going and going and going because they don't even see the things that they're doing right, out of the gates. They don't see those things as being wrong, immoral, or incorrect. So, how could they not convince themselves to keep going further down that rabbit hole and just keep justifying it along the way and say, well, the audience is demanding this content or whatever. We see an opportunity here and we want to, beat out our competition, whatever it is. Um, there probably isn't any line that they wouldn't cross. And if it wasn't illegal to, have minors be on camera, they would probably openly promote that. They would probably openly say, this person is this age and they're on camera doing this. And there's probably no limits for that either. They would probably go as low as they can go in terms of age. So, it's interesting that he's admitting all this on camera, and it's good for the audience to see, to understand that when you watch that type of content, you're not only engaging in it and becoming, a slave to it in a certain way, you're also agreeing with and promoting that type of content, whatever it is that you are viewing, whether it's a pretend wife to be cheating on her pretend husband with the pool boy, you are agreeing with adultery. Even if you're not committing it in your own life, you're agreeing with it. And, same goes for this type of stuff with underage content and stuff like that. Even if the person in the video is not actually underage, just the fact that they're selling the audience that, and then you watch it, you're basically agreeing with that. You're agreeing with, underage, people underage. having sex, or, even, rape, molestation, pedophilia, all that stuff, you're agreeing with it by watching this content. So just be mindful of that next time you decide to, watch pornography.
If like the government was to find out about this loophole, what would they do?
I don't know. They're not gonna do shit. They'll do nothing. They're dumb. They don't know. They're not qualified to identify. They already did their investigation. They were satisfied. They technically checked and it said that it's all good. So they can't really go back on that. We didn't change it.
So if they knew what you knew now,
So that's another telltale sign of a, criminal or a person with a criminal mindset is this brazen arrogance of, the authorities can't catch me. They'll never catch us. He's calling them dumb. He's saying they won't find out about it. They did their investigation. They're done. You know, that type of attitude is usually the type of attitude that criminals adopt right before they get caught, right? And look, here he is on camera admitting to, being complicit in crimes himself, but then also his superiors being complicit in them as well, if not directly engaging in them. So, that type of arrogant behavior is almost always seen in criminals right before the fall, right before they get caught. A lot of people are, I guess they just get so prideful, again, about their crimes because they enjoy them, they like their sin, that they just get blinded to the fact that they are arrogant in their ways and about to fall. But that is a, interesting telltale sign.
they be satisfied.
I don't know. Allegedly. I don't know. Why?
I think she mentioned on previous videos that she had undergone many, many hours of, investigative journalism on this topic. So I'm sure there's a lot more content out there, but that's what I was able to find so far in order to do this video. Yeah, so key takeaways here are, maybe just think about this next time you decide to watch pornography, is that you're being complicit. You're basically agreeing with a lot of these sins, essentially, a lot of these, and some cases, even crimes. Some of these people can be trafficked into this industry, and some of them, many of them could probably be underage. And, you're basically agreeing with watching an underage minor have sex on camera, and you're probably in many situations enjoying yourself to that experience. That is extremely morally bad. I mean, hopefully something inside of you inherently knows that. But pornography itself is a slippery slope. Maybe you just start out watching, adults, but it always kind of leads down a dark path because, people are constantly chasing that desire that they want to fill of, being satisfied with some fantasy, something that they, are intrigued by. And when you get bored of that, you're going to go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And before you know it, you're going to be watching some really disgusting stuff. And I've seen and heard a lot of people tell their testimonies online, especially about how they, got caught up in pornography and it turned into an addiction, and it got worse and worse to the point where they, were watching some of the most depraved, sick, disgusting content that they never thought that they would find themselves watching. And, there is a way out. You don't have to live that life. Best thing to do really is to abstain from that. If you can't control yourself, cut it out of your life completely. No one should be watching pornography at all. It's immoral, and there's no good that comes from it. Sex is reserved for a married couple, a husband and a wife, through that, covenant that was originally put together by God. It's the best in that situation. I understand that people do it today outside of marriage, and it's become culturally acceptable. It's almost like, they try to embarrass you if you're not doing it outside of marriage, but don't succumb to that stuff. The best thing to do is reserve that and keep that for your spouse. Um, but if you know that you're the type of person that can't contain yourself in that way, definitely don't get into pornography. Definitely don't get into watching explicit content, because not only are you uh, morally hurting yourself, you're also creating soul ties with that person that you're watching, and you're furthering, um, this demand for that type of content, right? Every audience member that watches is adding fuel to the fire. You're helping these companies grow, and you're helping them, incentivizing them really to put out more content, for, to more and more people to watch, and, probably traffic more and more people into this industry, in order to keep that thing growing. And you don't want to be complicit in that. So eliminate from your life completely. And I've mentioned this in other videos too. If you know you can't control yourself, or if you know that you are the type of person that just doesn't even want to have temptation in your life, um, set safeguards against yourself too, right? We set them for our children. Why not set them for ourselves? There's nothing wrong with that, because it just eliminates something from your life. That's one less distraction you have to worry about. If you have to put search filters on your phone, block out certain websites or whatever, do that so that you don't have to even come across it. It doesn't have to even sneak into your life, because evil will always try and find a way to get you to sin so that you will fall from grace, but you don't have to succumb to that. So eliminate all the problems in your life and all the temptations as best you can. There's many different ways to do that. Um, you know, uh, Even if you have to, delete social media accounts because you don't want to see some of the uh, content that's on there, even if it's not even explicit, even if it's just negative, and you don't even want that in your life, set safeguards up in your life, set boundaries. It's a good thing to have boundaries. It keeps you on track. And then you can focus your time and attention on fulfilling what God's will is for you, what your purpose is in this life. And you'll have less distractions, less thing pulling you away from that, and you won't go off course. But that's just a recommendation. I do see that there's a lot of Gen Z people today, especially, that there's this battle where a lot of them are very addicted to it, and many of them are pulling away from it now and going abstinent and being open about that. And that's very encouraging to see that there's a tide turning, especially with the younger generation, that they're willing to stand up and say, we don't want this in our life anymore, so we're going to cut it out completely. It's very nice to see, and it's hope for the future generations. But just know that, it can be done. Cut all temptation out of your life as best you can, and yeah, just really do your best not to watch pornography or get into any of that type of stuff, especially for the fact, like I said, that you're helping hurt other people. So just keep that in mind. But that's it for today's video. Stay tuned for the next one. Don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, share, all that stuff everybody always talks about. It helps the channel grow, and I can keep putting out content. Also, comment in the comment section topics that you want me to talk about. In the show notes, there's different topics that we will discuss on this show going forward. So if there is a video that you want me to create on a specific category or topic, definitely put that in the comments. I try to respond to everybody as quickly as I can. And if there's certain type of content that you do want to see, I will definitely consider, creating videos on that. And that's it. Stay tuned for the next one. Links in my bio and more information in the show notes. All right, everybody. Just want to take this opportunity to promote my children's book. This is Little Boy Full of Love, and that's me on the back. And here's a little sneak peek on the inside. So this is a good children's book. I wrote this book for my son. It's a really nice book with a lot of great life lessons, perfect for any parent to read to their child. It's available right now on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, Bookshop.org, a lot of different online platforms. But more importantly for me, it's available in a lot of bookstores across the country. We're actually in about 15 or 16 different states right now. I highly recommend, if you want to buy the book, buy it from a bookstore that's local to you. All the bookstores, or at least many of them that we have the book in right now, are listed on my Instagram page, so you can actually go there and find out which bookstores are local to you and just buy directly from them. Many of them will even ship to your house, so you don't have to go there physically if you don't want to, but it's just a good way to support local businesses, which at one point was the backbone of this country, but Hopefully it will continue to remain that way. So check out the book on there. But if you don't want to buy it at a bookstore, you can get it on our Amazon storefront. The links for that are also in the bio and the show notes. There's a lot of great stuff on there as well besides the book. There are a lot of products that we actually use in our daily lives and highly recommend. And they're all categorized, so it's easy for you to shop. You can shop, by category, things that interest you. But there's a lot of great stuff on there. So check out the storefront, check out the apparel shop. All that information is in the show notes and the links in my bio, like I said. So check all that stuff out and stay tuned for the next one.